Afternoon, folks. We are halfway through the week. Congratulations on making it this far. Well done to you. Now, first before we start, quick message from Composite Games. That I have had a message from one of the staff asking me to thank all of you for your business over the past couple of weeks. You're really making a huge difference to their store. Literally, they seem overjoyed. So thank you from the bottom of my heart too for supporting them and me so far. The code down below is still there. It's Northern Exile with your 5% off at checkout. And you normally get 20% off most of the Composite Games stock as well. And you get free postage over a certain amount. I think it's £60. So, a fantastic deal there. 25% off of your order if you use the promo code Northern Exile down below. Enjoy your games, man. Enjoy your games, boys and girls. Now, let's get into the story, shall we? Or many stories, because today we've got quite a few to get through. I've tried to group them together, but these aren't grouped in any particular order. One of them is a story from my own time, because I realised I've said quite a lot that I was never made to feel very welcome in any of the management training days, and I never really gave any examples. So one of my friends who still works for GW got in touch and essentially gave me an example, or reminded me of an example. He said, yeah, you've got loads of stories like that. Just why don't you tell them this one? That sort of thing. So I'll get into that one a bit later on. But it is funny, but we'll get into it a bit later. But anyway, first story of the day is from Beef. Somebody called Beef. I'm not going to ask why you're called Beef, but let me just... Anyway, he says, hey Northern, I'm unsure if to send stuff like this to the mailbox here, but here we go. Me and my best friend are both autistic. I'm lucky enough not show my autistic traits externally with stimming or anything like that, but I don't deal with confrontation that well. I have a past of anger issues, so I avoid confrontation because I don't want to hurt anyone. My mate, on the other hand, is 6'3", built like a brick shithouse, and is soft as butter. Oh, okay. Is this of Mice and Men? Sorry, if this turns into Of Mice and Men, I'm going to stop reading. But anyway. He stims when he gets excited, whether that's rocking or twitching. Okay. Stims, for people who aren't into autism, or don't know anything about autism, is generally when people are acting abnormally. They're triggered by something that's going on in the environment, and so their autism is showing out, essentially. He says he's new to the hobby. So after treating him to his orcs with a codex and a combat patrol box, we took our armies to our local small gaming cafe, rented the table for a bit and got some drinks ordered. After about an hour, we're deeply into an orcs versus Tyranid game and it's going great. He's learning and moving through the turns at some pace. Oh, that's brilliant. Long story short, he nails an 11-inch charge into my last squad of Hormagaunts. Because of this, he starts getting excited and rocking. Okay. An older couple was sitting by the door who had been staring and huffing the entire game. Got upset. The older man stood up and complained to the manager, who was sat watching us with a smile on his face after watching him enjoying the hobby. After hearing this, the manager stops smiling and says to the man he's autistic and can't control the rocking. The man scoffs, then walks over to us and starts berating my friend for being loud and moving around so much. I apologise for it and explain that we're both autistic and can't control the rocking and the stimming. He then tells him to stop moving as he's not a toddler and needs to grow up. My mate, who's now feeling awful about what's just happened, sits down and starts to pack his models away. I tell him to leave the models because we're not going to stop playing and start talking to the old man. I'm not a particularly small bloke either. I'm tall and an American football player, so I have an imposing figure at times. I turn to the old man and ask him to calm down, as it's something that he can't help, and that he should at least apologise to him because what he said is really fucking mean. He laughs at me and starts taking the piss out of my pink hair, calling me a freak, and loads of other abuse. The manager stepped in and asked both him and the old woman to quickly finish their drinks and leave the shop. After a bit of a moan, they finally left. Okay, I cured my mate's upset with more orcs and a slice of cake and another pint. Okay. We then went home, And lots of sorries from the manager and some free pints. That's... Okay, well, number one, the manager is an absolute diamond in there. Like, he's making sure that, you know, not only... You can tell this manager has either been around autistic people, or he is extremely alert to what's going on. It seems to me, as soon as you and your friend have gone in there, he's taken a step back, gone to the side and said, right, I'm going to watch this game and see how it plans out, you know? And make sure he's alright. On top of doing all my other chores and all my other things that go along with running a hobby store. So I have to say, I'm very impressed by his behaviour. The old man in this story, I'm afraid there are people out there, especially if they're a bit older, who don't really understand what mental health is or what mental illnesses are. They don't understand what autism is. This sounds like a guy who's from the same generation of people that, you know, if you had any sort of problems mentally in school, they would just assume you were a problem child and would kick you out. Now, I'm telling you now, you'd think that was way in the past. It isn't. When I was in school, we had autistic kids, and they were not treated very well at all. And this was in the 90s and the early noughties. They were not treated well. A lot of them were treated as problem children. A lot of them were excluded from certain events in class. You know, they just did a shit job of handling it. So, I'm thinking this guy's in his 40s or 50s, you know, and again, here's the thing about the hobby. Tell that guy's not a hobbyist, because you can tell, because I see this all the time. I have a local hobby, well, not hobby store, but more of a gaming cafe that I go into to do some work sometimes. And I swear to God, the sheer amount of times when normal people come in and turn their noses up and, like, get really pissy at people just playing board games and then they leave is unreal. It's unreal, you know. I'm being honest, like, it just really irks me. Like, I'm not coming into your trendy coffee shop and telling you to calm down about whatever mocha coca fucking chino you've got in your hand whilst you read The Independent. You know, I don't come into your store and start, like, having a go at you. So don't come into this store and start having a go at us, you know what I mean? So, and I know a lot of people in the hobby are amazing. People in their 40s and 50s in the hobby are genuinely terrific people. And a lot of them comment on my videos, and not one of them would turn around and have this sort of a reaction to somebody who's got autism. It just wouldn't happen. But what I would say is there are certain amounts of people in any walk of life who do not get it, who aren't up with the lingo, sort of, you know, sorry to say, and who will turn around and genuinely be, you know, twats to people who are genuinely can't help it. And it's a real shame. I think your manager was the saving grace here of coming over there and sorting it out. But I only dread to think what would have happened if he wasn't there, because again, you both have autism, you both don't handle anger very well, and you're both not small blokes. Be very careful who you approach like this, is what I'm saying to other people. Like, if you see this shit going on, and you don't know what autism is, maybe, you know, just let people just have their game. You know, just... And remember where you are. You're in a hobby shop, or a hobby cafe. Yeah, remember where you are. Just, you know, silently judge. Like what I do. There's a girl who comes into our local hobby shop. Hobby cafe, sorry. I really hope that she's not watching this, because I don't know her, but, you know. But she's a voice actor. And every single time she comes in, she plays D&D with her friends. And she loudly proclaims that she's a voice actor and starts doing all these mad voices at the top of her lungs, you know. Whilst other people trying to play board games, and I'm sitting there trying to work, and I'm looking over at her like, ugh, you know. But I don't say anything, because you never know. She could be autistic. There could be anything wrong with her. Could be anything going on in her life where she just wants to come in and vent a little bit. So I sit there and judge, you know, but I don't do anything. So our next story is from Sculliu. And this is a question. It's a shorter one. He says, "Hey Exile, I just finished listening to your Iron Warriors video, and I have really enjoyed it, and I have now decided to do Iron Warriors in the Horus Heresy edition." Oh man, awesome, thank you. "I really want to dive deep into the lore, if the Iron Warriors, but also the Horus Heresy. from what you have read and from your knowledge, what would you recommend that I read first? I read quite a lot, but I have not got past the baby steps of watching Major Kill's videos. Okay, so number one, a Major Kill is a good start. It is a very fluffy, light way to get into the hobby. You know, he's quite memey, but he also explains things in a very cut down way. He doesn't really go into in depth that much, which I really like. Secondly, the Horus Heresy series, I'm afraid, is a bit of a mess. So what I would suggest you do first, this is what I did, is read around the Horus Heresy about what goes on, as in read the wiki and things, so you know the key events and the key players and what's going on. And then watch a lore video or two on Perturabo. And then I want you to pick up a book, alright, called Angel Exterminatus. Okay? And that has Perturabo front and centre. He's front and centre in that for most of it. Fulgrim is there too, but you actually get to see things from Perturabo's own point of view. That's my favourite Perturabo book, is Angel Exterminatus. If you want more context for Angel Exterminatus, I would read Fulgrim, because it leads into one of the main characters that's in that book, and you get to see how he falls into chaos and stuff like that, and why he's such a douchebag in Angel Exterminatus. But yeah, in terms of Perturabo, Angel Exterminatus is my favourite novel. But also go online and literally type in, you know, Iron Warriors, Horus Heresy, reading where to start, and you'll get a full list of all the things you'd want to read. But for me, Angel Exterminatus is the best look into Perturabo's mind, essentially. Now, saying that, I think the best thing for you to do, if you want to start all of this process, is go to a YouTuber called The Amber King. Now, The Amber King has an amazing video on Perturabo. Right? It's called, I think it's literally called Perturabo the Lord of Iron, from what I remember. I watch it once every couple of weeks. It's that good. Yeah, Understanding Perturabo, it's called. It is an absolute barnstormer. It is an hour-long, fully voice-acted, with really good art and artwork, and the way that it transitions and stuff. It has voice actors on it, the whole lot, and it really gives you a sense of who Perturabo is, straight from the right from when he's born all the way up until he falls in Horus Heresy. It's a really good place to go to get your Iron Warriors fix. A sensational video. From there, I would actually go to Oculus Imperia and listen to his take on the Iron Warriors. A sensational video. Sensational few videos, actually. Really, really, really cool stuff. That's Oculus Imperia for the second one. And from there on in, I think you've actually got enough to go on and do whatever you want to do. You can then branch off and look at whatever you want to look at. But those are the three things I would do. So there's 2 videos first, and then read Angel Exterminatus. That's what I would do if you want to get into the Iron Warriors a little bit more. All of those people do a much better job than me, which is why I stopped doing lore videos for a little while. Because I want to wait until the summer when I get better production value in my videos before I carry on with some of the, you know, especially when I get to White Scars and people like that. Anyway, our next... Let me have a little look here. Have a little look here. 1 second. One second, sorting something out. Right, so, sorry about that. Hence why I need an editor. So, there's somebody called Craigs. Craigs, let's see how this goes. He says, hi mate, as you can tell from the opener, I am also from the Liverpool area. Oh, pretty cool, man. Firstly, big fan of your channel, although I recently heard about your Everton background in one of your videos, and as a Red, I need to add that I thoroughly hope your team get relegated and are never heard from again. You know, it's cool to get, like, messages where you think sometimes, oh, you know, I wish people would stop like having a go at me, and then you get certain ones like this that are really, really cool. You know, hey, heard you like Everton? Go fuck yourself, sort of a thing. Yorkshire tea. It is the best. There's nothing you can do about it. It is just the best. Anyway, he says, I have a short hobby story. I wouldn't call it a horror story exactly, but more a story of comedy and sheer confusion. Alright, let's have a look here. To set the scene, I am fairly new to the hobby, and I have not spent much time around the hobby stores/clubs. I do listen to a lot of your videos, and I was always curious if the hilarious stories of strange social interactions were commonplace or just a rarity. Q, my first ever visit to Warhammer World not too long ago, and what I can only describe as a drive-by nerding of the highest order. Okay. Right, sorry. Both my friend Rick, you spelt Rick with a C, so I'm now imagining Ric Flair, and that just, you can't stop me. So, both my friend Rick and myself had decided to drive to Nottingham from Liverpool to visit Warhammer World to play a game of Age of Sigmar. I expect some abuse here. No, Age of Sigmar's a fine game, man. It's the lore I've got a problem with, not the actual game itself. In fact, Age of Sigmar is probably the best game GW actually do right now. So, you know, go figure. I had never been before. I had a day off work, my children were in school and my partner was in work, so it was a rare day of freedom. Alright, brilliant. I have to say, things started off great. We visited Bugman's to have a pint and a burger. Oh yeah, the burgers in Bugman's, man. They're so good. They're so good. Like, they just know that you're all just fat nerds. So all the burgers are just like, do you want heart disease? Good. Here's some heart disease. So, he says, we had a quick look around the museum and took in some of the sights. We then set up our game in the main hall and had a quick chat with a few of the people on nearby tables. Cool. And they all seemed very nice and had what a non-hobbyist would deem a normal social interaction. Brilliant. Enter our phantom assailant. To this day, I don't know if he really existed, or if both my friend and I had our drinks spiked in Bugman's and hallucinated the entire encounter. We were midway through our game when we felt a cold chill run down our necks. We looked up to see a rather gaunt-looking fella staring at us in the manner of the demon headmaster not uttering a word. You're obviously from my generation quoting the demon headmaster. And the Queen's nose, another one. I thought you may have wanted to strike up a conversation about our game, so I decided to be polite and asked, "How are you, mate?" I received no response, and the spectre continued to loom over us, watching our game, but not uttering a word. After a few minutes of awkward silence, and feeling like this gentleman was trying to suck the souls out of our bodies, he piped up with, "Yeah, I just destroyed my friend in the game." Okay, I'm thinking this guy has, like, serious, like, nerves around opening other people in conversation, to be honest with you, from so far. Again, to be polite, I began asking, "What army were you guys playing?" To which he interrupted me mid-sentence to shout, "Kragnos! I killed his entire army and didn't lose a wound." Okay, it was at this point that I knew I'd fallen prey to the fabled ego gamer. We tried to politely end the conversation and get back to our own game. We congratulated him on his success, and told him that Kragnos was a nice model. Again, the friend interrupted with, "I got it for free. I won a tournament a few weeks ago, and chose this as my main prize. I didn't lose a single game." Before we could react, he had turned around and walked off into the sunset. Still very confused, we go back to our game to finish it. We never saw or heard from this Chad again, but my friend and I both found the situation hilarious, and we're happy to be involved in our very own, very strange hobby story. Again, thanks for the channel, and all the best with it going forward, Craig. Cheers, man. And I hope we disappoint you tomorrow night where we beat Crystal Palace and stay in the Premier League. Now, I think this is either somebody who is very nervous around other people and feels the need to, you know, be very overzealous in his explaining of games, or he is what you say and he's a bit of an egotist. I don't get all of the context from these stories because, again, I'm not there. But from me, what you're saying to me, what you've said on your story, he doesn't seem as much of an egotist as a bit of a somebody with a bit of a mental issue, who has a very hard time. He has a very hard time getting banter going with other people. You know. So when you said hello, how are you, mate, and he doesn't say anything, if he was that much of an egotist, I think he would have come over and told you what he was doing. You know, and saying, oh, I just beat my friend in a game, blah, 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 shit like that. You will find that people with mental issues tend to lie about things like this. And they will tell you, oh, I didn't lose a single game, or they will exaggerate things and go overboard and telling you what they're doing and things like that. Again, mostly not their fault. They're just they're desperate to find any sort of common ground with people. And it's like a robot. It doesn't quite know how humans work. It doesn't know how empathy works. Do you know what I mean? So there's no real understanding of how it works there. Basically, kind of like Perturabo. Yeah, we just mentioned him, right? So kind of like that. Doesn't quite understand what humans are doing and how empathy works and how striking up a conversation and being social with people, how it works. So that is essentially what I think this is, from what you've told me. Really cool that you had that interaction with him, though. And I think you were very patient and you dealt with him really, really well, rather than telling him to piss off, which I've seen happen in the past, and that's not fair either. So, well done on you for your interaction, and I wish you all the best for the rest of the season. Not too much luck, of course, because I don't want you to get the quadruple, because I would need to go into hiding, and you wouldn't hear from me for a while. But anyway, on to Trombo. Somebody called Trombo. Right, so Trombo says... 1 second, let me just double check. Yep, everything's going fine. He says, hi Exile. I just want to share a story and request a bit of advice. I'm running my own store in the UK, and things are going pretty well. Excellent. That's what I like to hear. He says, I work for GW. I am 3 months in, and management have stayed off my case for now. Mainly because my store is tiny, and nothing is expected from it. But I also have a group of managers who are taking care of me and showing me what to say and when to the right people. Great, that's cool. I got into your channel because they showed me the Hobby Nightmares and the GW Experience videos and told me to memorise the pitfalls, quote unquote. So safe to say, a lot of us do watch the content. That's very nice. Cheers, man. And not the first message I've got from GW managers who giving me a bit of a watch, which is nice. So, he goes on. So my problem is, there is this girl who comes into the store. It is always a woman. Sorry. Let me just say right now that when she comes in, everyone tends to stop what they are doing and be a little awkward. And normally I'd hate that, but I cannot really blame them here. She is straight up one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen. 5'6", natural redhead, curvy, actual curvy, not chubby. Full smile, dimples, green eyes, cracking attitude, great knowledge of the hobby, good job as a psychiatrist, the unicorn, basically. She is in the store and doing her usual, talking to the lads, and then introduces herself. I'm new at this point, and we get talking. We actually have a really good chat. She leaves, and as she walks out of the door, I catch her looking back at me as she quickly looks away. Ooh, okay, that's quite a big sign right there. I'll come back to that in a minute. Anyway, the following time she comes in, we are chatting and laughing a lot. I'm not flirting, we just honestly have a similar sense of humour. In brackets, dorky and awkward. After a few times, one of the dads of the store, who looks after one of his kids, heads over to me and says, bloody hell mate, ask her out already. Now, this guy is an old, good-looking, chiselled biker who has been around the ladies a lot. Fair enough. He says he knows his stuff. And he says, so what the hell do I do? How do I ask her out in the store? How do I see her outside, away from the store, without it being creepy? Will HQ come down on me if I do ask her out? I am torn, man. Help me. Alright, so... in terms of... How do I put this? So, first of all, no, HQ won't say anything if you ask this person out. Like, they're not going to come down on you and like, you know, have a go at you. You just don't want to telegraph it, is what I'm saying. So, there are ways and means of going about this. So, the manager I worked for actually ended up, I think he was married to, or long-time girlfriends with, a mum from the store. Like, he actually started dating a mum from the store, and you know they live together now, kids, whole 9 yards. So, you know, it's not frowned upon. No, if you do it in the right way. The right way is to not be lecherous in the store. Like, don't go up to her in the store and start like making flirty comments and stuff. Don't start, you know, pursuing in your place of business. It's not like the best thing to do. You know, you got to make sure that work is work and personal is personal. You know what I mean? Now, I think the reason why you're asking me questions like, do I ask her out in the store, things like that, is because you're already coming to that conclusion yourself, which is good. Excellent. So I would keep up going as you are in the store, just talking and being cool, you know, having fun. Maybe throwing a flirty comment here and there, but don't like pursue, don't go full on, you know. I will say that the looking at you and then looking away as soon as you look back is a surefire sign. The other sign is, like, if you're around dorky women quite a lot and they're all acting like dorks, if they continue acting like dorks whilst you're there, but one of them goes quiet, that one likes you. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you go into a group, happens more than you would think. Knowing this one sign will get you a lot of dates. Is that if you walk into a geeky group and they're all having a good time and laughing and acting out and stuff, and they're all being really loud, and then one of the women goes really quiet, that one likes you. Especially nerds, because nerds don't know how to handle liking someone. They just sort of go and sort of, like, you know, crunch up sort of thing. So, in terms of away from the store, I would actually, do you know what? I think the best thing to do is, while she's in the store, try and get into a mode of behaviour of going outside for a bit and taking a little bit of a breath away from the store. You know, talk to her and then go outside, just so you establish that behaviour. So you're not just going out there to chase her, sort of a thing. And then one day, when she comes in and you have the normal conversation, head outside as she goes out and say, hey, sorry, I'm really awkward. Trust me, if you say no, it won't change a single thing about you being in the store at all, right? Could I take you for a coffee? Like, sometime this week, whenever. Or a drink, you know? And that's outside, you're not in the store, you know, so you've established that behavioural norm of you going outside for a bit during the day and just having a look around, getting some fresh air. And you've obviously, you know, and then when she comes outside, none of your customers are looking outside going, where's he going? You know, that sort of a thing. They're just getting on with their games. And so you will be able to actually have a small conversation with her outside without anyone else hearing, sort of a thing, and you can actually ask her out. And if she says no, then you've already set out your stall and said, it won't change a single thing about you coming into the store, no problem. Might be a bit awkward, and listen, and if she says no, just say, no problem, just wanted to get that out there because I thought, you know, felt that there was something there. Obviously I'm mistaken, no problem. Can't wait to see you in the store next time, see you later. And that's it, right? Done. And you go back into the store. If she says yes, then you're on, man. Off you go, and you're good, right? So establish those behavioural norms by going outside and letting people know that you're outside, sort of a thing, for a little while. Maybe put the feelers out as if she's single or not, right? Try and figure out that first, because women like that generally aren't single for a long time, anyway. And once you've done those things, and the moment's right, ask her out outside of the store is what you need to do. One thing I did as well when I started dating somebody from the store, only went on a few dates, but what I did was I would be as charming as you can in the store, but I had a really core group of people in the store who were like of an age, like as she was. So I'd say to everybody, hey, let's all go out for a drink on Saturday to celebrate a good week in the store, whatever. And so I invited everybody and her. And so everybody, we all went out and obviously got talking to her and away we go, sort of a thing. And that is the main thing that you should do in terms of asking somebody out in the store. One of those two things. I don't know what your store situation is like, but one of those two things should be what you do. Anyway, keep it up and, you know, come back to me with some updates about what the hell is going on with her whenever you can. That'd be really, really cool. So, now I'm going to finish off with my own story. So give me 1 second. Right, so, as I said before, when I was talking about me not feeling that welcome in training, I never gave any real examples, and I wanted to give one. After having a convo with a friend of mine called Ryan. Ryan's really cool. He says I can use his name because he just doesn't give a shit. And yeah, he's a really top bloke. He's a GW manager, and we've been speaking ever when I was in the hobby, obviously when I was in the store, in the management game, and obviously since I've left too. So he has been a manager for, now it will be, where are we? 2019. Now it'll be 11 years. He's an 11-year veteran now. At the time of this story, he was a GW manager for 7 years, 7+ years. So we go to a meeting of sorts, a management meeting in Leeds. Now normally these are in Nottingham, where we go and sit down, and basically you're there to brown nose the higher ups whilst you're training for a day or two. All food and drink comped, and then you go home essentially. But you've got to use up your own weekend to do that, of course. But anyway, we go to this training thing in Leeds, and we're there, and because it's a new venue, we're at a hotel that we've never used before, because obviously we're in Leeds this time and not in the actual, in Nottingham. We don't have any food, not laid on anyway. So the day comes on, and as the junior members, so it's me, Ryan, a bunch of other managers, and the head of retail is there too, or he's due to be there anyway. We are asked as the junior managers. I'm brand new, and Ryan is only 7 years in, to go and get sandwiches for the meetings, for the management meetings. And we agree, we can get out for a little while, and cool, we do that. So the head of retail wanted prawn sandwiches in the batch. He was very adamant that he wanted prawn sandwiches. This is one thing that he likes. He likes prawn sandwiches. So, fair enough. We head out to the store that we've been given. We've been given the card of a store that's going to give us a good deal by the managers, because they've cleared it already. And we head to this store. And unfortunately, we're in the centre of Leeds, and they do not have any prawn, until a delivery comes in about an hour and a half. So me and Ryan look at each other like, well, shit, we can't wait here for an hour and a half. So I call in to Mark, who is our trainer. And he says, oh, well, just go to another store. It's fine. And I say, well, we're in the middle of Leeds. We've never been here before. And if we do that, we could be late in getting back and miss a load of training. Because if we go to another store and they don't have anything either, then we're going to be even later. Do you know what I mean? Rather than waiting the 1.5 hours here, we'll be even later. And so Mark says, yeah, fair enough. So I say, yeah, by staying here and just waiting, we're only ever going to be 1.5 hours late, at most. Mark says, cool. My trainer, Mark, says, cool. I'll see you in a few hours. We say, okay, fair enough. So, finally, after a while, the prawn sandwiches get there, and we're really, really happy. And we get an Uber back to the hotel, both of us, me and Ryan, get an Uber back to the hotel. It's raining, pretty shitty, but, it is what it is. So, I walk in, and I can see James, who is the other head trainer, in the foyer, pacing around, whilst training is already going on. Ryan is outside with the Uber driver, just getting the sandwiches out the car. And I literally am talking to James, and James is having a go at me. Like, he's getting quite aggressive and quite angry. He says, why are you late? This is ridiculous. Like, you're meant to be back ages ago. Have you been drinking? And I was like, no. Like, what, you think we went for a pint? So I explained the situation. And I explained that I told Mark what the hell was going on, the other trainer. And James says, well, he needs to check on that, but to get in, you need to get in and start your training. I said, okay, fair enough. So I walk in. And as I'm going in, Ryan comes back over to me and pulls me aside and says, I'm really sorry for you needing to take the hit there. I should have told you not to walk in on your own. I said, no, it's fine, no problem. And then I noticed, I say, Ryan, where are the sandwiches? And I swear to God, I've never seen colour drain from a man's face so thoroughly. Like, it just all drained out. Like, he was just he ran out of the foyer. I mean, sprinted. And I'm like, well, I want to know what the hell's going on. So I come in. I run after him. We come out only to see this Uber speeding down the road has stopped. And the Uber driver is standing outside of his car in the rain with his hands on his hips. Kind of like that meme that you see on Black Coat sometimes where the guy's got his hands on his hips. A bunch of sandwiches that were left on the roof have gone sliding down the back of his back window. And made a right mess of his back window. So I'm looking at Ryan, who is now like got his hands on his head like, oh my god. Right. Ryan turns to me, and this is how much of a cool guy he is. He says, look, I'm the senior manager here, so I am going to go and sort this out. Right? You need to go in so you're not overly late. Okay? I'll just go and get a new batch, and I'll sort out the Uber driver too. Okay? I say, okay. I go in, right? And I start my training. And I am getting a major grilling from every other manager there. They're basically being a load of dicks. That they use the phrase like, you know, new managers couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery, shit like that. You know, I'm getting absolute grilling from all sides of like, you know, you shouldn't be late to these things. It shows a real bad, you know, a real bad message to the head of retail. You know, the head of retail is sitting there nodding sagely like, yes, 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 yes. You know, and getting like, you know, agreeing with all the shit that's being thrown my way. And I stand up for myself. I say, look, you know, I called Mark and, you know, I told him James isn't there at this stage. I don't know where James has gone, but I'm saying looking at Mark and look, I called Mark, and Mark's just like nodding, saying, yeah, fair enough, but like, you know, you shouldn't have been late. I said, what do you mean I shouldn't be late? It's not my fault. The shop had no fucking prawns. Why do you need prawns anyway? Why do you need, you know what I mean? I'm just like, you know, I didn't say that last bit because I would have got, you know, would have made it even worse. But I was like, you know, I just said, look, I needed to wait for the prawns. You know, I said, you know, I could come back straight away, but was told to wait there and just waited there. You know, that was my suggestion and they accepted it. Yeah. Anyway, Ryan comes back into the group about 2 hours after that with the sandwiches, and they all welcome him and say thanks for the sandwiches and things like that. They're all like backslapping him, saying, "Oh, cheers, mate. Yeah, we're starving." And they're looking at me like, you know, we're starving because of this guy over here, sort of a thing. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. And I'm just like sitting back thinking, fuck these guys. Just fuck them. I just can't stand this. This is ridiculous. Anyway, over a drink that night, we're heading back the next morning, but me and Ryan are having a few drinks that night. And he apologises and says, look, you know, I'm really sorry that you had to get introduced to the cliqueiness of the place like that, but, like, it was just bad luck. I'm really sorry. I said, no, it's no problem. He said, look, there's just ways and means that you've got to approach being a manager, and, you know, this is just how it is. The next day, I get a warning for not going to the second sandwich place like I was asked. I literally got a warning for not going to the second sandwich place. Despite me giving my reasons and those reasons being cleared. So either Mark had thrown me under the bus as the trainer, or they just ignored his explanation of me not being there. Ryan, of course, received no warning whatsoever. I went back to my store on the Wednesday, because we were off Monday and Tuesday. So on the Wednesday I went back to my store, I sat down, and my trainer was there and gave me grilling about what happened again. And this is the first time where well, actually the second time, but the second time I turned around to him and said, look, if that's how it is, I don't know whether this is the right place for me. Because I explained how this was unfair, point by point. I'd even written it down, which is something really good for you to do. If you know, I'd written it down, I've written my grievances down, and I said, look, I'll give them to you, and I've signed it at the bottom, I've given it to you, this is what happened. And this is why I'm annoyed. And this is why it isn't fair. It just isn't fair. You know, it just isn't fair. You know, and again, he just repeats the same line of, well, you know, this is what I've heard. This wasn't my trainer, by the way, who was doing this stuff at the meeting. My trainer was told stuff by people at head office and came to see me in the store. Basically have a go at me. And he said, well, you know, from what I was told, and he repeated this, you know, another story, essentially, that you were told to go to a second sandwich shop and you didn't. I was like, well, no, that's not what happened at all. I will go as far as doing my phone records. I will give you my phone records so you can see that I actually called back. You know what I mean? And let's look at that. See who I called. Let's do that. I don't care. Like, I wanna clear my name here. This isn't fair. Like, you know, Ryan received no warning, no nothing, blah blah. And he had nothing to say to that. He just like shrugged and said, well, you know, Ryan had leave to go. What do you mean Ryan had leave to go? He didn't speak to anybody. You know, he even told me he didn't speak to anybody. You know, so we got into basically a set 2 in the store when I was just like, the store wasn't open at this point. You know, I came in early to have this meeting with him. And I was just like, I wasn't impressed. And the rest of the day went by pretty awkwardly. He said, let's go for a pint at lunchtime. We did. And we generally just had a it really pissed me off because, like, at the start, that trainer and me were, like, getting on really well. And he was like, oh, this store's going to be really cool with this guy here. You know, he's going to do really well. But it was shitty situations like this. Like cliquey management situations like this. Nothing to do with what was going on in the store. It was always situations like this that soured everything. That soured my time there and generally made sure the more shit like this happened, the more they came down on me like a ton of bricks. You know, for like, if I had a Wednesday that was slower than the Wednesday the previous week, they were calling the store to demand why that was the case. They had my number, sort of a thing, and it really fucking irks me, and it still does to this day, and I still get upset when I think about it, that my time working at GW was spoilt by shit like this. Because, you know, I honestly think that me and that trainer could have had a really good relationship. I really do. But it was stuff like this that spoiled it. You know, the store was fine. It was stuff like this that was spoiling it. And that's a real shame. But anyway, there is my story of and a bit of a downhearted one, I know. Sorry about that. But, like, there is my story of how things started to go wrong towards the end of my time at Games Workshop. But I just realised I hadn't given any examples. And so I felt bad for that, so I thought I should. Anyway. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you for your weekly roundup on Friday, where we can sit down and have a good chat. So, Composite Games is there for, well, you know the spiel by now. It's there, 5% off at checkout, and you normally get 20% off. Go and check them out. Go and support them, guys. The more you support them, the more you support me. And on Friday, we will be going over our first competition for our Patreons and our members of the channel. So if you're a member of the channel or a Patreon, you will have a chance to win a prize from Composite Games. So, and before anyone from Composite Games panics, I'm buying the prize. So don't worry about it. Okay? So, I will speak to you guys on Friday with that announcement on our next Hobby Nightmares video. I love you all long time. Have a really good rest of your week. See you later. Have a good one.